Alright. From the dark, now fade on in, baby. Hey YouTube, it's your boy TUCKTHESUCKMAN, aka What Up Tuck, aka TuckerBenBen 8AA, Facebook.com/Internet Tucker. I'm the Rude Dude Movie YouTube. And I'm here to tell you my list of Tru Gems 2016. These are the movies you might not see on the lamestream critics list. So fuck what you heard. This is what's real. This is that real shit. Todd Solondz is a national treasure. If you lived in France or really any other country that really valued its artists, he would make a huge movie every year and it would be a cultural event. But because he's from New Jersey in America, you know, we have to settle for one every 5-6 years. He's the master of observational comedy. And late in his career, he's just been taking these characters that exist sort of in universes he's created and just expands on it. The United States of America as a cancerous entity. Like a big fat elephant drowning in a pit of despair. When I was watching it, there was only a few older couple. I was seeing it like at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. There's a few older couples in the audience. So during this long tracking shot of the dog diarrhea on the sidewalk, one of the older couples looks to the other one and says, "I thought this was the Anthony Weiner doc." And they got pissed and got up and left. That moment is just right out of Wiener Dog. Such an interesting perspective of Americana that you have to appreciate. Just in the way it's surreally depicted. There's a woman with a camo The View shirt. You know, I love mercurial digital goop in movies, and this instantly met my quota. Egyptian mythology meets Transformers, and that's awesome. Shifting the galactic axis of the universe. Mythology is some of the first comic book stories. God as, psychedelic experience. They reference someone as being the god of too much somewhere in the movie, and that kind of explains what it is. It's just so much shifting the galactic axis of your mind. Okay, well, full disclosure, I'm totally a Malick fanboy, and Knight of Cups is really reflecting on his 30-year career of being a Hollywood outsider. Christian Bale is a writer, and it's mostly just him, stumbling around this textural tour of LA and just, being contemplative. Rooted in the sort of 60s counterculture that was going on when Malick came to Hollywood and was studying at AFI and was working as a screenwriter. And it's structured kind of like an experimental underground film, from the 60s. And now, late in his life, he's able to make all these movies, and he approaches them with the enthusiasm of, the grandpa that got a GoPro for Christmas. Kind of like this existential rap video. There's a line in it where a character says, "My life is like Call of Duty. I just walk around and fuck shit up." And that's Terrence Malick. What I imagine his, because, a sense of, spiritual duty is so prevalent in all of his films. Terrence Malick's movies create this cinematic temple for you to be able to reflect on your own life. A lot like the tarot cards that sort of structure this film are kind of like the chapter headings. There's this preoccupation with living the life you're meant for, which sort of goes back to just that sense of duty, which carries over onto his other movie that came out this year, which is the IMAX Voyage of Time, where it was basically the universe telling a bedtime story to humanity, its child. And just seeing, Terrence Malick images, just huge, and Brad Pitt's lullaby narration. Life is like Call of Duty. I just walk around and fuck shit up, And the shit that is getting fucked up is the Hollywood narrative form. And he's gonna use some of the best talent in the industry in order to do so. I like the sort of progression between the Jackass show and then Bad Grandpa, which was the Jackass movie, and now evolving into Dirty Grandpa, which is a Hollywood movie with Robert De Niro in it. but it still has this sort of jackass narrative. They vape crack in this movie. Aubrey Plaza's new turn as a sex symbol, really dorky, cool sex symbol, I think is a very post Zoe Deschanel, new girl sort of thing. Getting dirty and just getting his nose sucked all up in the joint. Run.
What have I become? My sweetest friend. Everyone I know goes away.
It sets a goal for itself to liberate the oppressed. You don't know if you're coming or dying, and that's all there is in life. Avengers, it's whatever. I try to avoid those, but I do like comic book films because I do like the way they can present ideas. Batman's just bloated and divorced. Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor, where he's a total millennial villain. This dude is Martin Shkreli. This movie came out right as all that Martin Shkreli stuff was happening, and he is the epitome of just that sort of startup greed, These are primarily films for kids, they're primarily just to sell toys and Happy Meal stuff. So if something like that actually, can make you contemplate your existence, then I think that's awesome. I think this could really trip a lot of kids out. The Marvel movies are exactly what the Marvel minions want to see and how they want to see it. There's no surprises in there. You know what those movies are before you even have to watch them. But the DC ones are a little messier and a little grittier because they're more surprising in a way. Weird things. There'll be a weird, trippy flashback, and then all of a sudden a dream sequence, but then the chronology will get a little cut up, and then the future self is talking to him, and it's, I don't necessarily follow the whole thing, but I don't care because I'm down to be taken on that trip with these guys, these iconic superhero guys that I love.
Biggest boss and I've been the trillest. I'm a bigger problem when I click with Skrillex. Murder on my mind, it's time to pray to God. My revolver is not religious, the revolution's on. Wanna know my name and go and tell the Sarge. Wanna know my gang, Suicide Squad.
And so this one's even more of a mess than Batman, Superman. David Ayer is a bona fide auteur, since his first movie with Christian Bale. He's been talking about the soldiers of the apocalypse. And all of his films are about these sort of brotherhood relationships that form under these apocalyptic conditions. So he seems like the perfect choice, and he definitely had a vision, sort of going for this gangster, candy-colored Spring Breakers vibe. And somewhere along the way, it got super. There's just way too many characters, and some aren't that interesting at all. And it's just pretty much just a constant movie trailer. But there's something still there, to trip out the kiddies. Such a great pop film, it's every song you've ever heard.
Need a couple gang members for these new endeavors. From this point on, anything we do together.
Seal, Kiss 'em a Rose, that shit's fire. Incorporate that into Batman Forever. I love that Suicide Squad has a Rick Ross and Skrillex original song where they're rapping about the Joker. Getting in the dope boy Suicide Squad. Great Hot Topic tie-ins. I'm glad this has this really sour bubblegum quality. How many sexy Harley Quinn costumes are you going to see for the rest of your life?
Forgive me for my wrongs, I have just begun.
It's a swirling ring of trash. So I would be interested to see, a different cut or even fan edits, I hope, will start to emerge. There's always been a connection between movies and sex, the movie camera as a phallic instrument. And also the word hardcore being so synonymous with sex. Hardcore Henry, is just gonna you hard. Reaches into one drawer and it's just a bunch of dildos. Okay. And so he puts it back. Reaches to another drawer and then it's a bunch of guns. It's like the natural progression from the Crank films, you know, that are hugely influenced by video games and comic books, and just creating sort of a new style of action movie. Rejects the fluidity of Gaspar Noé's first-person movie Enter the Void in favor of just a totally kinetic aesthetic, you know, glitch cuts happening all the time, and just the camera's just going absolutely insane. Information of the plot is given just like a video game. It's like you do a mission and then Jimmy, which is really, just keeps reoccurring. He's only there to forward along the plot, to tell you what your next mission is. The characters are only there to do that, so why not it be just one character, you know? He becomes kind of like South Park's Kenny, dude. Get some more of that strong Russian shit. That's like the viewer getting a dang headbutt by a character in the movie. Big hardcore headbutt. History of Russian, you know, film montage and just editing kinetics, and Hardcore Henry is doing parkour down the Odessa steps, you know. He's just like, you know, I mean, when you watch a movie, you're sitting back, relaxing, you know, and it's like you're getting hardcore by Henry. Trauma movie setup where it's the hardcore punk band is trapped in a Nazi bunker, and it treats its absurd premise with, you know, respect and some emotional plausibility, so that when the over-the-top splatter elements really start to come out, you care a little more about them. Oh, really good effects work. This movie is everything I was about when I was a teenager, you know, just like skateboarding, listening to punk rock, and getting a bunch of splatter movies on VHS, and throw in Imogen Poots with that hot rocker girl Chelsea. That's such a teen fetish image. Gotta give respect to Anton Yelchin, whose death really just adds another sort of haunting layer. You know, the kids who grew up just, watching VHS junk are now just making those same style of movies, but treating them with a lot more seriousness. It's in regard to the technique and the tone and all that, but they're still like wild splatter movies. This is a movie that the kids get amped for. I mean, because the music is thumping and really good, and the colors are just bright and psychedelic, and the kids are just bouncing everywhere, throwing popcorn, just rocking out. Groovy, baby. I feel like this movie is fueled by like ex-raver parents. They're just nostalgia about doing ecstasy, you know, at the club. Relive those psychedelic nights through this movie because it's just looks like candy. Unfortunately, Trolls is not quite as profound as last year's DreamWorks movie Home. This one's more baby-oriented, but the music was great. There's some great musical numbers, man. You know, I just want to play with that hair. Put your hair in the air up. You know, it reminded me of watching, you know, fantasy films on VHS, Sword and the Sorcerer, that sort of thing. It's just a gazillion-dollar version of that. And also Paula Patton, my girl, looking like an orc in this movie. In the opening scene is Emma Roberts logging on to Nerve. You know, welcome to Nerve. She types in her username. So it sets up the film as this user experience. So when it incorporates the visual language of text messages and internet chats and emojis and Candy Crush, all this stuff, it makes total sense both to the story but also just to the sort of visual language and style of the film. Similar to like the Angry Birds movie in a way, where it's just the next progression from mobile app to movie. And the sort of experiential qualities of all the dares are just really fun. These directors are really in tune with contemporary aesthetic. Always incorporate different video formats. Just a trip through the language of digital culture. Lots of classic teen film tropes, but just told in a really cool new way that is reflective of the culture at the moment, and just with the kids, and what has its finger to the pulse of what is pop. Being plugged in. Tim Burton has always utilized the most cutting edge technology to really blur lines between live action and animation. You know, he comes from the background of animation, so all of his movies create these sort of cartoon worlds, and he's really shaped contemporary pop culture. This is just classic Tim Burton. You know, the monsters were actually pretty scary in this movie. It uses a lot of modern technology to reference old school stop motion, and there's EDM music playing, and then there's even like a Tim Burton cameo in there. I'm gonna find that scene because that's dope. But yeah, the flying girl is really sexy because it looks it's just another one, the young adult movie, and that's definitely how it was marketed. And it also has the name can work as a book, but just as a movie. But I liked the sort of marketing, the hashtag Stay Peculiar, you know, and in a way I think that's kind of a better title. Like, these are big budget studio horror movies that are freaky, you know, and are spiritual, you know, and really contemplate the presence of God, about their love and their faith for each other, this couple, like duty to their profession, but also just to themselves and their domestic life with their, you know, their family. You know, these are classy horror movies, and I love that this has sort of inspired a trend inspired by, you know, the golden era of 70s filmmaking. Expertly establishes the sort of geographic space of all the different environments. And some of the stuff is just so simple, but the tension is built so authentically. So there's a fair amount of jump scares and all that, but one of the characters in Don't Breathe says, "If we do this right, we never have to do it again." And I think that statement is true of the movie. It's just such a perfect technical exercise that really, it's the kind of an end-all. The great scene in Argento's Tenebrae that's just this really long crane shot, you know, going over the whole entire house and up over the roof. I feel like this movie just tried to take that shot and extend it into a full movie where you're really just constantly flowing through the corridors. The night vision sequences, really beautiful. Haven't seen it visualized this clear. Definitely the best sound mix, I think, of the year. Just the way it used surround and just weird isolated moments, really perfect. I was asking people, hey, you gonna see it? No, it's too real. And it's so true. You know, illustrates how f***ed up 2016 really was. Exploitation movies exploit fears and frustrations that are prevalent in contemporary society and show them back at you as a means of catharsis and a means of understanding, you know, ripped from the headlines. That's
Purge and Purify.
This is a series that just keeps on getting better as they go on. The more the universe is expanded, you know, line keeps getting repeated. I just wanted my candy bar. I mean, you know, candy bar is such a loaded object. It really plays upon the deep sins of our country, you know, which is truly a country whose soul is at risk. I mean, I'm a turtlehead. I'm gonna say these are my bros. These are my brothers. You know, I love these movies. I love these guys. You know, and I'm really willing to accept them in any incarnation that they come, as long as they're true to the spirit of, you know, what I like about them, which is jeez. See, like, it's visual. That in 3D was so cool. $130 million interdimensional freak out for the kids. Picture their faces is so expressive. The motion capture work is amazing. Like, they all have their own distinct look, and, you know, which further just defines their characters. All the textures and action sequences, everything's so brilliantly defined.
Dimension dripping, dipping.
It really fulfills potential of the Secret to the Ooze, you know, the original sequel, which was great, but, you know, this one has Bebop and Rocksteady. The other one had, like, these weird... Michael Bay is a dang pimp, man. Little Ninja Turtle dancing with a little Transformer. Something about these guys has made them a timeless cultural icon. They've been so present since 30 years almost. I mean, how long? Like my whole life, I've totally grown up with them, and I just keep coming back to different incarnations because they keep on, you know, making them fresh for the new kids, and I think that's great, because I think everybody should be able to enjoy
the, altered state of rolling with the turtle bros.
I was lucky enough to see Billy Lynn in the 120 frames a second 3D preferred format, and it really was amazing and adds an insane clarity and a dimension to the emotional story. It becomes like a psychedelic soap opera. The 3D mise-en-scène and just direction and overall design of the movie is really funny too, because it incorporates a certain amount of gimmicks. There's like a football getting tossed, it makes you instantly aware that this movie is going to play with depth, but everything is applied and contextualized through like emotional scenarios. So it really uses it to great effect, just to further bring you into the drama and into that dinner table. Ang Lee has his own blend of sentimentality and feel for Americana. And I feel that only someone who wasn't from America could make a movie that addresses America so honestly and so neutrally. I don't quite know what the audience is, because it's sort of too right for the left and left for the right, because really does a great job in humanizing the nation of children. The halftime show centerpiece of the movie is an amazing experience, where there's, smoke and lights going on, and there's flashbacks and fantasies, and there's, Destiny's Child is playing. It's such an overstimulating experience that you lose it and you get lost in this moment. Like, this is probably the best American film of the year, and it's unfortunate that I don't think hardly anybody's going to get to see it in the intended format. And just, the long name and the weird marketing, it's a movie really without an audience, and it's really unfortunate, because there's just fine directing and acting and just expertise on all fronts. And there you have it. Those are my true gems. I hope you go seek them out. Evaluate them for yourself with your heart, not what you've heard or anything. Make up your own mind and show them some love, baby. I'll see you in 2017 at the movies, guys. Bye.